So pay-per-clicks is really simple for you. There's two sorts of pay-per-click: Google AdWords and Facebook. And it's essentially a very simple model. Google AdWords, if you are a registered company, as in a registered limited company, chances are you will get a letter through the post at some point, if you haven't done already, with a free Google AdWords voucher. And I don't know if any of you have got that, but Google will regularly buy data from Companies House to see new company registrations, and they will send you anything from a £25 through to a £75 Google AdWords voucher. And if you've been a registered company for a while, they send you more and more and more and try and get you to spend, essentially. And it's a bit like Betfair gambling, really. If you haven't spent much, they'll send you more. If you spend a little bit, they'll try and encourage you to spend a bit more. So sometimes it's free, have a go and spend this. Sometimes it's credit your account and you get a bit more. And how it works is, you tell Google what phrases people searching for you want to start showing your results, period. So if your website is www.amazingspeedwayclothing.com, I know it's not, but let's say it was for a moment, you would say, okay, that's really interesting. If someone is searching for the terms speedway clothing, motorsport clothing, historic motorsport, blah, 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 a long list, and as many as you like, show my advert. And Google will say to you, okay, this is what's happening. Based on our vast database of billions and billions of search queries over the past number of years, we'll give you some option. You'll say, okay, I want to advertise in the UK, so it lets you do it by territory. If you want to, you can narrow it down by town or location. So again, being very specific, you might want to target Eastbourne, if there's a speedway stadium there, Poole, Ipswich, wherever the locations are of your audience. You know where people are. If your product or your brand or your work is specific enough to a geographic area, you can do that. Or you can just say UK. You can target by time, which is also really nice. The reason it's really nice is because people are online at different times of day, and it's not until you've worked in e-commerce that you realise there is a real pattern to the day, and it's quite surprising. So the first instance is people are online a lot more during the week than at weekends. It sounds really obvious, but people are sat in front of a desk, at work, on their phone, trying to avoid work, whatever it might be. Online usage is very, very high during the week compared to the weekend. If it is raining, especially the weekend, people go online. If it's really sunny, people go offline, and it's a very, very stark contrast. You'll see if it's wet and raining, number of people online goes up massively if they're stuck at home watching X Factor. If it's really sunny, people go outside and watch X Factor on repeat, basically, or they'll catch up. So time and day is really important. Time of day also matters, and this applies not just to Google AdWords, but to all of the social marketing and digital marketing you might do. So different people are active online at different times of day. If your audience for your brand or your product or your service is professionals, well, they typically are at work, of course, between 9 and 5. And you will probably find that targeting them just before they get to work is a really productive time to target them. People are commuting on a train or on a bus, or they're checking in on Facebook before they start work. It's a really, really fruitful time. Another fruitful time is just before lunch. So people often check their emails just before they go to lunch. And again, people sometimes try and be online a bit more just for the end of the day to kill a bit of time before they go home. Conversely, Friday afternoons is a complete dead spot for people. It's not a great time to be doing any kind of online marketing because people leave work early, it's sort of, ease off a bit. Sometimes they go to the pub and all bits and pieces. So different times of the day are very important. And as I said earlier, that applies not just to pay-per-click, it applies to all sorts of marketing. If you have a mailing list, for example, you will probably see massive variations in how many people read the mails that are sent out, how many people open them, how many people delete them, depending on when you send them. So just before lunch, great time to send a mailing list. People will open it more than if you send it at the end of the day or at the start of the day. It's a good time to send a mailing list just before lunch. And you will probably see, depending on who you're subscribed to in terms of your email mailings, very clear patterns as to what days of the week they're sent, what times they're sent. And I caveat that slightly by saying that very, very big organisations, and if you subscribe to any of the sort of vouchers like Zzz's and Pizza Express and Prezzo, which many people do, they've got so many people that it's physically impossible to send them all at one time, so they spread them out. But for most organisations, you'll see a flood of emails just before lunchtime. And you can be really smart about that. If you look at any of those easy Prezzo ones, you'll see they typically come on a Friday and tell you, as they did this morning, and tell you have a free glass of Prosecco this evening if you go out, for example. But Google AdWords lets you target your pay-per-click rather for a particular time of day as well. And what Google will do is it will say, right, based on the search term, let's say the term was Speedway clothing. It will say, we had, in the past X weeks, months, whatever, the following kind of number of searches, 1,700 searches for that term. And it will give you a figure for all the different terms you put in. So the more generic the term, the more people were searching for it. If the example is if I use the term car insurance, there might be 1 million searches. The more specific the term, the fewer the searches. Car insurance for disabled drivers, car insurance for disabled drivers who are registered blind, car insurance for disabled drivers who drive a Ford Fiesta who are registered blind. It's a kind of scheme of fewer and fewer and fewer. And they will say, this is the volume of searches, and this is the competition for it. So it will say, you know what, no one is interested in competing with you about Speedway clothing because there aren't many people that do it. And where there's less competition, you get it cheaper. And it will give you what is called an average CPC, which is the average cost per click. So that's Google saying to you, for every click by somebody, whenever we display your advert on the term Speedway clothing, we will charge you approximately X. And that will vary from a penny to £100. That's cost per click, that's pay per click advertising in a nutshell. You say, this is my budget, I want to spend £5 a week, £10 a day. These are the terms that I want to be appearing on, and I want you to display my advert. You can adjust it, write it, whatever you like, you get to completely style it accordingly, and I want you to display it. And if you have a Google AdWords voucher, try it. You're not going to lose anything by doing it. Just credit your account, give it a go. Bringing it back to the conversion funnel, you will find that different phrases, different terms that you want to bid on, perform differently. And it's obvious, the more qualified the term is, the more likely it's going to do well when it comes to your conversion funnel. And to be a bit unfair and pick on the Speedway example, people looking for historic or nostalgic Speedway clothing, retro Speedway clothing, whatever the term might be, are likely to do quite well when they get to your website. They like to do better than people looking for Speedway helmets, for example, or Speedway jackets, which they might be looking for modern Speedway helmets as well. So, pay-per-click is all about balancing how much you pay versus what they end up doing. And if I very quickly bring you back to there it is, the conversion funnel. And this informs the next bit about social media and organic. I can give you a little bit more detail that probably makes it make a lot more sense. So, if we had 100 people visit your website, 50 of them engage, 5 of them added something to a basket, and 2 actually bought something, that's a 2% conversion rate. But there are 2 bits of data missing from that are meaningful. The first is, on average, this is people who are selling something, what did people spend? And that's called an average basket. So if you sell 10 items, you average out what the amount is, and that gives you your average basket, say £5. And that tells you, for every 100 people, you make £10, really simple. And there are things that you can do to increase your average basket, but that's not really the point of today. But the flip side, at the very start of this conversion funnel, it's all about how much then did it actually cost you to get those 100 people. If you were doing pay-per-click advertising and Google was sending you a visitor every time you spent 10p, for example, the cost of 100 people is 1,000 pennies is £10. So you've made your money back. You've got 2 sales of £5, you've made £10, it's cost you £10 to get those customers, you've broken even on your pay-per-click. Now, of course, the ideal situation is that it's costing you less than you're making at the end. That's what profitable online marketing is all about. And pay-per-click is a really direct way. You're actually having to physically pay. The reason it's hard work to begin with is because you're not getting any free traffic. You've got no presence online, you've got no activity online, so if you want people to visit your website, you have to pay for them to begin with. Over time, someone like Amazon actually gets a lot of people just banging in Amazon.com, because then that's the first place they go. They don't need to pay you to go to Amazon, because you think of Amazon, that's where you go first, or wherever it might be. So your cost of acquisition, pay-per-click, yes, fine, but actually those 100 people, over time, you're not paying for all of those. Some of them are coming through social media, some of them are coming through organic and other locations. But that is the conversion part.